Hey, thank you so much for clicking this video. And the reason why you visited my channel or this video, clicking this video is because you want to know on how you can pass your actual driving test, your DMV, California DMV actual driving test. And well, I did mine last week and I passed on my first try. And I'm going to show you the exam result. All right, so here I made 8 mistakes. So actually you're allowed to make 15 mistakes, and I was told by the examiner that beyond that you are going to have to do the exam again. But fortunately I passed on my first try. Now if you want to know more on how you can pass your actual DMV driving test, then you better stick around and watch till the end of this video. This is GeoTube. So I did my application at DMV Hollywood, and the office there was not really busy at all. So that place is well recommended. I recommend if you want to do your DMV application, you better do it right there. I was actually freaking out when I did my driving test, even if I'm already driving for since I was 18 years old. Maybe before that, 16 years old, I was already driving. But for me, it's really different when you're driving and then there's an examiner beside you. I just don't like to fail, that's why. And the examiner that time was a woman, and I tried to be friendly to her, but she wasn't friendly at all. Yeah, she was, well, maybe she's just, concerned about doing the exam, and that's all. Because, well, my personality, I'm very bubbly, and I try to establish a rapport whenever I encounter, things like this. But, well, she wasn't friendly, but at least she didn't fail me. Okay, so let's dive right in, all right? I bet you're excited. Tip number 1, make sure that you know your pre-checklist, okay? So the examiner is going to ask you to do some very important pre-checks before you can do your driving test, your actual driving test. So this is what she's going to do. She is going to go at the back of your car, and she's going to ask you to turn on your blinkers, both left and right, and she's going to ask you to push your brake, the car brake, just to make sure that they are working. All right? Oh yeah, make sure that they are actually working before you do the driving test. And then after that, she's gonna go in front of your car again and turn on the blinkers left and right, and she's gonna ask you to turn on your headlights, low beam and high beam. And after that, she's gonna ask you to turn on your windshield wiper. So make sure all of them are working. And after that, she's gonna ask you where the car emergency brake is, and then the emergency signal, and then she's gonna ask you where the defogger is. So make sure you know where they are. Okay. And she's gonna ask you to push the horn of your car, just maybe once or twice. So these are pre-checks that you need to do before you can start driving. So make sure they are all working. And make sure you know how to do the hand signals, because she's going to ask you how to do them as well. Tip number 2, make sure that you know the DMV office parking lot or parking space, because she's going to ask you to drive around there with just one turn before you can actually go out and drive outside. So the speed limit there is like 5 to 7 miles per hour, so make sure you drive slow, and then you are turning your blinkers when you're turning left or right or whatever it is that she wants you to do. And then after driving around the parking space, then you're good to go. That's tip number 3. Make sure that you are gonna turn your blinkers on when you turn right or left. Okay, because once you go outside of the DMV office, of course, you're going to have to turn right or left, whatever it is that she wants you to do. Make sure that you're turning them on, because, that's a huge mistake that, if you're not turning on your blinkers when you turn right or left. And actually, when the actual driving is starting, you are just going to go drive straight unless she asks you to turn right or left. You don't have to ask her, okay, are we going to turn here or turn there? No, you're just going to have to follow her instruction and wait for her to tell you where to turn. Tip number 4, make sure that you stop on all stop signs. Okay, you are going to fail if you're not going to stop. It should be a complete stop. Okay, and make sure you don't go beyond the line of this, there's a line on the road, the white line. Make sure that you don't go beyond that line. Tip number 5, make sure that you're turning your head to the left, slightly to the left. It's like this is you're driving like this. You're turning your head slightly to the left or to the right, to your blind shoulder, to your blind spot, if you are turning left or right. Okay, so this is one advice that the examiner told me because I've been making a lot of mistakes on this one. But, I'm not really used to turning my head, to the light, slightly to the left or right when I'm making a turn. I don't do that because we already have the side mirror, and some cars, so most of the cars have a monitor, inside of the car, on the dashboard. So I'm not used to it, but you have to do it. Actually, you have to, turn to the left, turn to the right when you're making a turn. I know it's not as I find it really irritating because when I was with my instructor, he would always, you have to turn to your head, to your blind shoulder. Well, you have to do it. If you want to pass, you have to do it, because I've been making a lot of mistakes. The examiner noticed that I'm not really turning my head. Actually, I did, but maybe she wants to see that I'm really doing it. So again, that's tip number 5. Make sure that you're turning your head to your blind shoulders, blind spot, if you're making a turn. Tip number 6, you have to observe the speed limit. Yeah, so make sure you know the speed limit if you're driving around a neighborhood, or if you're in the city, in the downtown. I think the speed limit is 35, and when you are driving around the neighborhood, it could be like 20 or 25 miles per hour. So make sure you're not driving really fast and driving really slow. Make sure that you are observing the speed limit. Driving too slow, you'll fail. And if you're driving too fast, you'll also fail. So make sure you're driving smoothly, and you're observing the speed limit. I'll be repeating myself already. Tip number 7, make sure you know how to park. Yeah, parallel parking especially, because when you're doing the driving test around, she's gonna ask you to park right on the side of the curb. Okay, and make sure you know how to do that. All right. So, what we did is that there were no cars on the side street, so it was just easy for me. And maybe if you get an examiner who is, really strict and wants to do by the book, maybe she's gonna ask you to park in the middle of, there are 2 cars and there is an empty space right there, but she's gonna ask you to do parallel parking. So make sure you know how to do that. All right. So practice parallel parking. Tip number 8, make sure you know how to reverse drive, because that is what we do when we're backing up our car. And you know what, I'm not used to doing the traditional type of backing up the car. Like, we have to put your right arm on the passenger seat, your left arm on the steering wheel, and then you, like that, look at the backside of your car. I don't do that actually, because I just rely on the side mirrors, both left and right, and the rear view mirror. And some cars have a monitor on the dashboard, so I don't usually do that. But you have to do it like that, because if you're not gonna do that, you're gonna fail. So, it's because reverse driving is really dangerous, so you have to really look at the backside of your car. Tip number 9, I mentioned this already before, and this is about make sure that you follow the instruction of the examiner when you're driving. So, like if you're driving already, she's not gonna. You're not gonna ask her, "Are we going to turn left, going straight, or turn right?" You don't have to ask her that. Just make sure that you are following her instruction. And if she's not gonna ask you to turn left or right, just go straight. That's it. Follow the examiner. Don't ask her too many questions where to go. Just follow, and that's it. You're like a robot. Just follow whatever she wants you to do. And a tip number 10, just relax and be friendly to the examiner, because sometimes I've heard some people saying that they failed because they were too confident and they weren't friendly to the examiner. In my case, she wasn't really that friendly to me. but she wasn't that strict as well. So she was just doing her job. And actually, the driving test lasted like 15 or 20 minutes. I think that was even like, it wasn't even 15 minutes on my part. So the driving test is not really that long. So make sure that you are, you have your happy thoughts with you. I was freaking out, but I actually prayed. I prayed that I will not fail. And actually, I'm confident. I'm confident in driving because I've been driving all my life. But again, as I mentioned, it's different when you have an examiner with you, and my personality is that I don't like failing. So that is why I was freaking out, because I don't want to fail. But who wants to fail, right? And after your driving test, you are going to go back to the DMV office, and she will ask you to park right there on the parking spaces designated for student drivers, or for, people who are taking the exam, the driving test. And then she signed some stuff and everything. She gave me this, and she said I passed. And then, of course, I was so happy. It's like, passing a board exam. And then I went inside the DMV office, and then they gave me this. This is the temporary driver's license, and this is valid for June, July, August. June, July, August is valid for 3 months. Okay, 90 days. So I think they're gonna give me, or they're gonna mail me my actual driver's license in 2 or 3 weeks. Because I was told by my driver instructor as well that right now, because of the pandemic, the delivery of your actual driver's license takes a bit longer. Hopefully I'm gonna get it in 2 weeks, because I'm just really excited to get that right away. All right, so that was it, my driving exam. And also, one more tip: before you do the actual driving test, make sure that you are really confident that you know how to drive already. Because some people just do the driving test right away because they were so confident to drive. But the thing is, some people don't really observe the traffic rules or the rules of the road, so that's why they fail. So make sure you know all those rules, the rules of the road, and make sure that you are actually driving practicing driving with someone who is already a licensed driver, or better yet, enroll yourself in a driving school like what I did. I'm gonna post the link of that person that helped me to become really confident in driving. And also, I have some videos on how you can apply online with the driver's license application online, and you can actually do your knowledge test there as well. And also some tips on how to pass the knowledge test. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for sticking around, and I hope that you've learned a thing or two. And I hope also that this video is going to help you on how you can pass your driving test. Alright, good luck, and yes, don't forget to like this video and click subscribe. Hit also that bell button so you get updated on my videos later on. This is GeoTube.